Now, while it is true that Blumhouse's Halloween trilogy got a lot right, it also got a lot wrong. So today, let's talk about what Blumhouse got wrong with Halloween. Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and today I want to talk to you guys about what Blumhouse got wrong with their Halloween trilogy. Now, in the last video I did, I highlighted 8 things that I thought that Blumhouse, David Gordon Green, whoever you want to give the credit to, did right with the Halloween trilogy. But I didn't want people thinking that I was just this huge, massive fan of the trilogy and that it was flawless. Absolutely not. If you've followed my channel for any amount of time, you know I have a lot of complaints with this Blumhouse trilogy. But before we get into what went wrong here, I just want to mention that a few things are not going to be talked about in this video because some of them are just opinion. Just like in the last video, I'm not going to say, oh, well, this movie was bad, they got this wrong, or this one was good, they got this right. No, it's not as simple as that. I'm simply looking at aspects of each movie and the trilogy as a whole and what they did well and what they didn't do well. So starting this off, the first thing that Blumhouse did wrong here was the Strodes, the Strode family as a whole. Look, I said in the previous video that I liked Laurie Strode's arc here for the most part, and I really like Curtis's performance. Those are absolutely true. However, I think every other thing about the Strodes is just pretty bad, honestly. The only movie that any other Strode character actually gets some dialogue and moments that aren't totally cringy is Allison in Halloween Ends, but I still feel she's underutilized in that movie. Karen is a nothing burger, and some of her dialogue in Halloween Kills is truly eye-rolling. See, it never really felt like Laurie cared all that much for either one of these two characters. And then Ray, we're not even going to talk about Ray, okay? Like, they didn't even care when he died. Now, I won't go as far as to say that the performances are bad or anything, because they're not. I think Judy Greer is fine here. I think Andy Matichik gets better as the movies go on. But I just don't think they're given enough to do. And I just really don't buy them as a family at all. The next thing they got wrong is the humor. And I think this is something that infuriates a lot of people about this trilogy. Now, I'm happy to say that by the time Halloween Ends came around, they mostly dropped it, but in Kills in 2018, there's a lot of moments that they really think are going to be funny that just aren't funny, mainly in Halloween 2018. See, I understand that this was David Gordon Green and Danny McBride's first crack at horror, and they come from comedy, so it makes sense that they would try to inject some of that into this movie. However, I just don't think it works at all. I think a lot of the jokes in the first movie specifically just do not land. There are some totally outlandish things that you're just like, real people don't say this. Like, this just is not a real thing at all. It's not funny. Julian is probably the exception. But even then, for people that liked a couple of his jokes, they felt like it went on a little too long and it was just out of place in the movie. And I mostly agree with that. Look, Big John and Little John are good in Halloween Kills, but aside from them, I think most of the humor in all of these movies just does not work. The next thing that Blumhouse got wrong is the legacy characters. And I mean pretty much all of them except Laurie Strode. Look, we can just go down the list here very quickly. Lindsay Wallace gets absolutely nothing to do. She has a good scene in Halloween Kills, and that's it. She's in Halloween Ends, but if I didn't tell you that, you probably wouldn't remember because she gets absolutely nothing to do. Tommy Doyle, Anthony Michael Hall gives a good performance in the movie. However, he is overwritten to the point that it's just not believable. This is not a human being. This makes no sense. What he was given to do is just weird. It's totally out of left field. Marion Chambers, come on. She's given almost nothing to do. Her dialogue is bad, and she's just forgotten as quick as she showed up. Sheriff Brackett, I mean, come on, guys. Like, he shouldn't be acting at this point. Like, leave Charles alone. Let Charles Cyphers just enjoy the time he has left with his loved ones and get those residuals from the original Halloween. He didn't need to do this. Like, his line reading is just not good. What they give him to say is terrible as well, but we'll get to that. Now, I do have to mention Lonnie Elam because I do think Robert Longstreet as Lonnie Elam does a really, really good job in Halloween Kills. But he's really a nothing character in the original. So while he's a legacy character, most people don't even remember that. But on the whole, the legacy characters here are just not handled with grace whatsoever. The next thing is probably one of the most infuriating, and that is Dr. Sartine. Look, I understand the impetus. I understand the urge to come back with a Halloween reboot and go, okay, we need to have a new Lumis because Donald Pleasance is no longer around. No, we don't. Just because you're making a Halloween movie does not mean you need a Dr. Loomis character. And it's worse than that, though, because at first he kind of is the Dr. Loomis. And then they try to give this big twist of, oh, he set this all in motion because he wanted to see Michael out in the wild, and he has this affinity for him. Like, dude, what? It is so dumb. Like, even the most ardent defender of Halloween 2018 looks at that twist and goes like, yeah, that's kind of stupid. And it is stupid. And while I understand that they did want to try something new, and maybe they thought, oh, we're really going to surprise audiences with this one. They're going to think we're setting up a new Lumis. Well, because you were, until you weren't. And you only weren't because you were like, we have this grand plan. And the grand plan sucked. Now, piggybacking off of a couple of things I've already talked about, the next thing they got wrong, largely the dialogue, just entirely, mainly in the first two movies, mainly in Halloween Kills, let's be honest. Some of the dialogue in these movies is just, it's not written by human beings. I don't believe it, because human beings don't talk like this. There's so many moments, specifically in Halloween Kills, where you're just like, I don't know what to say. Where you're just getting like secondhand embarrassment because it just does not feel real or lived in at all. Like, it just feels fake. It feels so phony. Like, did AI write this? Did like some early AI program write this? You get conversations between the teenagers in Halloween 2018 that just do not seem real at all. Now, in 2018, I was in my mid-20s, so maybe it was just I'm not a teenager anymore. Maybe teenagers do talk like this, but it just didn't feel real. It felt very forced. You've got Ray's dialogue. I mean, do we even really need to talk about that? You've got Allison calling Laurie grandmother over and over and over again. Like, nobody does that in real life. There are just so many instances throughout these movies in this trilogy that it just does not seem real. The dialogue is really, really bad. Now, I have to give credit. Halloween Ends, whether you love or hate that movie, there is hardly any comedy and the dialogue is a lot better. But in these first two, whew, man, the dialogue is the pits. The next thing they really dropped the ball on is Halloween Kills narrative. Now, whether you wanted it to go the way that Kills was teasing or not, that's kind of irrelevant. The fact remains that what they teased, they did not give us. The narrative that Halloween Kills was setting up was erased with the next movie. Now, that pissed a lot of people off after they saw Halloween Ends because they were like, this is not what I thought I was getting. And honestly, I've always told people that's not Ends' fault, that's Kills' fault. Because Halloween 2018 says that Michael Myers is just a man. Sure, soulless killing machine, but just a man. Halloween Ends goes back to that. Yeah, he's just a man. Soulless killing machine, but a man. Halloween Kills is the movie that's like, what if he's more? What if there's something greater? What if every time he kills, he gets stronger? It's like a power-up. And that narrative is cool if you're going to follow through with it. Because for the next movie to essentially just go, yeah, no, that was nothing. We were just talking out our ass. It's like, well, then the entire narrative of that movie just doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, luckily, Halloween Kills is a movie that's just super fun. So you like to watch it just for the carnage. But my God, what they try to set up in that movie, they never had any intention of delivering upon that. They wanted to ask questions because it was a filler movie. And in that filler movie, they wanted to go, we'll make the audience ponder and want to come back for a third one. And honestly, that's just shitty storytelling. Whether I like the movie or not, that's irrelevant. The fact remains, it was shitty storytelling. And then off the heels of that, the next thing they got wrong, Judith Meyers. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in Halloween 2018, she's mentioned multiple times, and you almost start to think, oh, are they setting something up here that there's going to be some reason why he killed Judith? There's going to be some connection there? Nope. Halloween Kills. Oh, why is Michael up in the window, in Judith's window, staring out there? What is the connection to this? Why is he drawn to this spot? What was it about Judith? What set him off? Are we going to finally get the answers to that? Nope. Not at all. And then you had Ghost have the song Hunter's Moon, and if you listen to the lyrics of Hunter's Moon, it talks about Judith a lot, and that coincided with the release of Halloween Kills. So Christian and I remember talking back and forth about it, where we were like, dude, they're going to give us some answers about Judith, what the significance was to that room, to that kill, what started it all. I mean, in fairness, they talked about her a shitload in the first two movies. They set certain things up. They were dropping crumbs. No, nothing. There was nothing there, and there was never going to be anything there. And look, I'm not saying I need answers. Honestly, not at all. We've seen how that can go super out of control in some of these Halloween movies. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, if you're going to continue to set it up, don't you think there should be some payoff? I don't know. Like, Everything in Halloween Kills narrative does not pay off at all. I can even go as far as to talk about the radio tower. We thought that that was going to have some significance. Nope. I mean, a kill's going to happen there in Halloween Ends. Isn't that cool? Bullshit. That's not what you meant by the significance. Nothing in that movie is paid off whatsoever. The last thing I want to talk about that they got wrong, in my opinion, is Dr. Lumis. Now, you might go, what are you talking about? They had to have him in this flashback scene, and the guy looked great. Yeah, the guy did look great. However, the guy doing the voice acting did not sound like Dr. Lumis at all. Way over the top, seemed like he was trying too hard to be Dr. Lumis. 2, Dr. Lumis standing on the front lawn while Michael Myers is just like on his knees about to get shot execution style. No, sorry, that's just, I've never liked that moment. I do not think it is in line with Dr. Lumis at all. But I also think the bigger problem is, why do you feel the need to go back to Lumis? We've been over this. We don't need to have Dr. Lumis. That time has come and gone. We loved Pleasance's time and the 5 movies he did. And even if people didn't like Rob's movies, they felt like Malcolm McDowell gave a good performance. We don't need to keep doing that. You made Halloween 2018, you tried to have a new Lumis, and it didn't work. So then you literally just bring back Lumis. Now sure, it's a flashback scene, and he was there that night, so he's got to be there, right? I mean, he didn't have to be. It was more a callback to the fans, but it was just unnecessary because, again, it didn't feel like Dr. Lumis at all. In the voice, in the performance, sure, it looked like him, but that's just about it. And I just felt like it was unnecessary fan service. Now, as I said at the top of the video, you might be wondering, why on earth did he not talk about how Halloween Ends is garbage and how Corey Cunningham's arc is stupid? Well, 1, because I don't agree with that. 2, that's really just opinion. And most importantly, I'm picking out things that were through lines throughout the trilogy that are mostly in all 3 movies. And I'm trying to be objective here and say, hey, you set certain things up and you didn't deliver on it. Hey, some of these things just fell below the line in multiple movies. I'm not nitpicking each movie and going, this movie's good, this act of this movie's good, and that one's bad. No, that's not the point of this video. Sure, there's a lot more that they got wrong, but these are the 8 things that I wanted to mention. Just like the 8 things that I think they got right. They got more right than that, but those are the 8 I wanted to talk about. The 8 that I felt like most people would agree with. And I think that these 8 most people will agree with too. Honestly, the only one I think that people might give me pushback on is Lumis. But let's be real, that didn't feel like Dr. Lumis at all. But that's it. I'm done. I'm done ranting. I have just given you 8 things that I think Blumhouse got wrong when it came to the Halloween trilogy. But I want to hear down below in the comment section what you guys think. Do you agree with the 8 points I made? Are there more you'd add, or do you disagree with some of them? Whatever it is, I want you to sound off down below. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.